The Borneo rainforest is one of the oldest on Earth. It has been growing for over 130 million years. It does not need humans, it does not notice them. Except, occasionally, when something in it decides otherwise. Ruth was 71 years old when she got lost in it. She was found 3 days later, alive, unhurt, sitting beneath a tree. Beside her, a Borneo pygmy elephant. The elephant had been there since the first night. No one can explain this. Ruth does not try. Ruth had been a field botanist for 43 years. She had worked in rainforests on 4 continents. She had cataloged over 200 plant species previously unknown to science. She moved through dense jungle the way most people move through familiar rooms, without thinking, without fear. She had retired 3 years ago. The retirement had lasted 11 months before she accepted a volunteer position with a conservation team in Sabah, Malaysian Borneo. Her daughter had called it predictable. Ruth had called it necessary. The Borneo pygmy elephant is the smallest elephant subspecies in the world. Found only in the northeastern corner of Borneo. They are gentle, curious, and deeply social. They remember everything. They grieve their dead. They help their injured. The one that found Ruth was a young female, perhaps 15 years old. Separated from her herd, the research team would later determine, by the same storm that had disoriented Ruth, 2 lost beings in the same ancient forest. Ruth had been conducting a solo survey of an orchid population 3 kilometers from the research camp, a task she had done dozens of times. The storm arrived in under 20 minutes, the speed of tropical weather that still surprised her after 40 years. She had taken shelter under a large dipterocarp tree. When the rain stopped and she emerged, the trail markers she had placed were gone. Washed away, buried, irrelevant. The radio was the problem. The antenna had snapped in the wind, a clean break at the base. She had a compass but no landmarks. The forest was the same in every direction. She was not immediately alarmed. She had her compass. She had water. She had her emergency kit and her radio. She had been in this situation once before, 30 years ago, in the Amazon. She had walked out of that one in 6 hours. She began to walk. She made camp before dark, a shelter of leaves and branches, the way she had taught field students for decades. She had done this before. She knew how to do this. What she had not done before was hear an elephant. At approximately 9 in the evening, she heard movement in the trees to her left. Large movement. The particular sound of something very big moving through dense vegetation. She held very still. The movement stopped. Silence. Then, a shape in the darkness at the edge of her small camp. An elephant. Young, by the size. A Borneo pygmy, still large by human standards, but small by elephant ones. It stood at the edge of the camp and looked at her. Ruth looked back. She spoke to it. Quietly, in the tone she used for field students who were frightened. The elephant's ears moved. It took 1 step toward her. Then it stopped and stayed. It did not leave that night. Ruth slept in intervals, waking, checking, finding the elephant still there. Not close enough to touch, but there, a presence in the darkness. By morning she had named it Kecil, the Malay word for small. On the second day, Ruth moved through the forest with more purpose. Kecil followed. Not always visibly, sometimes Ruth could not see the elephant, but she could hear it. Moving parallel to her through the heavier vegetation. A sound like the forest breathing. Once, in the second afternoon, Ruth walked into a clearing and stopped. Ahead of her, a depression in the ground, a muddy pit, partially concealed by leaves. She had not seen it. Kecil had stopped at her left side, physically stopping, her body pressing against Ruth's arm. Ruth looked down at where her next step would have been. She stepped around the pit. She said, "Thank you." She did not know why she said it. It seemed correct. The second night was harder than the first. Ruth's water was low. She was not dehydrated, not yet, but close enough to feel it in her thinking. She noticed her thinking was slower than usual. She ate the last of her emergency rations. She rebuilt her shelter. Kecil settled nearby, perhaps 3 meters away, closer than the first night. Ruth talked to her. She talked for a long time. She talked about the orchids she had been surveying. She talked about her daughter, who was probably frantic by now. She talked about the 43 years of forests and what they had given her. She talked about her husband, who had died 6 years ago, who had always said she would die in a forest somewhere and had meant it as a criticism and somehow made it sound like a love letter. Kecil listened. Her ears moved in the way elephants' ears move when they are attending. Ruth slept. The drone found her first. The drone found the elephant. A Borneo pygmy elephant standing in a small clearing, visible from above. The operator noted it as unusual. A lone elephant, stationary, in an area without a known herd. He circled the drone lower. He saw Ruth. She was sitting at the base of a tree, her field notebook open on her knee, writing. Beside her, the elephant, standing still, enormous and gentle, watching the drone with calm curiosity. He said, "You're supposed to be in distress," Ruth said. "I was." She helped. Kecil watched the exchange with the calm attention she had given everything for 3 days. Then she turned and walked back into the forest. She did not look back. Her field notes from the 3 days were later incorporated into the team's research. The orchid pages and the elephant pages both. Ruth stayed for the rest of her volunteer term, 4 more months. She saw Kecil twice more at a distance with her herd. The elephant did not acknowledge her. Ruth had not expected her to. Wild things do not owe us recognition. They only owe us what they choose to give. And on one night in a Borneo rainforest, this one had chosen to give everything Ruth needed. Presence, warmth, a body in the darkness that was not the darkness. And one warning at a muddy pit that she had chosen to give without being asked. They remember who needed them, and they come. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Bound to Survive. A new story every week.